Alright friends, it's time for the Pro Circuit Stop number 4 Lake Eufaula breakdown. Here it goes. Real simple. Hopefully you've already watched the video. If not, go check it out. I got lucky, found a big school of fish that was on a shell bed on the bank of a creek channel. It was near the bank, so a lot of people weren't graphing it. It was just in a really kind of inconspicuous place. I lucked up, found those fish. Did not have a great practice. I was really leaning on that, and thank goodness it provided for me. I was able to manage it for 3 days. The first 2 days I got them fired up, caught them, lost good ones. I was just having an issue with hanging fish outside the mouth and lost a couple of big ones, but I was able to manage that school for 3 days, and the first 2 days I'd catch what I needed really and get out of there before I was seen. A couple of times boats came in there and I just acted like I was fishing down the bank and wait till they get out of sight and then go back to the school. But thankfully I was the only one on that school of fish all 3 days. The third day I leaned on them the best I could early, and then went and scrambled. I probably should have came back to that school more, but was very thankful to have it. The way I was catching those fish, the only way I could get the big fish to bite on that shell bed was grinding a Z-Boss 20, a Zuma Z-Boss 20 down on those shells. And the first day we had clouds. I caught them on Hot Mess, just a staple of a color. I'm going to tell you what this bait does that other crankbaits won't do, and the reason that I felt like I caught more fish on this than I would have any other crankbait. The way that you have the flat back on this bait and the pitch of the bill, you can make this bait do something that I call lose its cadence. Now, when I would get down on those shells and I would feel it start grinding, I could give the reel just a little bit of a speed up or a hitch, and that bait will actually plane off and it'll cut the water. So you've got the bait grinding, digging, and when you start banging it off a hard bottom and you give it the right little kick, it will plane off and you can feel it cut the water. It'll basically slide through the water just like a knife. And when I would feel it do that and stop it, it was 100% of the time when that school was fired up, they were going to crush it right as I slowed it back down. And when you make the bait do that, you can, if you have the right rhythm, you can pull it quite a ways with it cutting the water, and then when you stop it, you can kind of engage it again and get it back to grinding. And man, it's just a deadly technique with that Z-Boss 20 that you can do. This bait's going to run 12 to 16 foot. I was throwing it on 12-pound fluorocarbon on a long hammer cranking rod and getting it down there really easy. The shell bed was about 14 foot deep. You can grind this bait in up to about 16 foot of water, but it was just the perfect presentation. Days 2 and 3, it was clear. I caught them on Pale Rider. I love that color. It's kind of a bone look. Bass, when they're keying on shad, they love that bone look with a blue back, little orange throat patch. So that, and then when I felt like I'd really put the pressure on them, I love that color for pressured fish. That's the Gizzard Blue Green. It's just a translucent, very non-invasive, non-intrusive, natural color that those fish seem to really eat when you're having to catch them after they've been pressured a little bit. So I'd lean on them with this, and then I'd pick this up and caught some really key fish on it, especially on day 3. So if you haven't thrown these Z-Boss 20s, I'm telling you, they're a great bait for grinding. Shell, hard bottom, and just a great crankbait in general. Man, they cast a mile with a weight transfer system. You can actually see it in the Gizzard Blue Green. You've got, hopefully y'all can see that there, you've got a weight transfer. You see that bead slide to the back, and man, if you get in the right rhythm of letting that bait load and then launch it, it literally casts like a bullet. So really a great crankbait, and I think you need to try them out. They meant a lot to me at Eufaula. That was what saved my tail all 3 days. Something else that I hate to give up, it played big for me at Chick in my next breakdown too, but I really hate to give this secret up, but it catches so many fish. I want to share it with y'all. So people have gotten away from a Texas rig. I mean, plenty of people still fish it. I'm sure there are guys saying, what are you talking about? But you hear of a shaky head, a drop shot. That's all you see in the professional fishing media. And I feel like just a good old Texas rig without a pegged weight has been forgotten, and it's something the fish will eat. And the bait that you pair with it is equally as important. And what I've found for catching pressured fish, or fish that just don't really want to bite, like we had at Eufaula, we had at Chickamauga, like we had at Eufaula, we had at Chickamauga, that's the clone Ringo. Just a little ring style, kind of fry style worm on a light, 1/4 ounce, maybe 5/16 ounce, maybe 3/16 ounce tungsten weight, 8-pound leader on a good spinning rod with a braided main line, and then 8-pound leader, a 2/0 round bend hook. That is the most simple fish catching dude. And what I would do at Eufaula is run brush with it, where I felt like fish weren't really wanting to eat a big worm, or maybe not eating a big jig, and I caught a lot of numbers on that bait. They just eat it. They flat eat it wherever you go. Anywhere you got pressured offshore fish, man, that bait will catch them. I think really what the secret is that when you have your bullet weight, your tungsten bullet weight, separate from the bait on the fall, and then the bait lands, the weight lands on the bottom, and then you have almost a Carolina rig type effect, but a different approach with that bait that kind of freestyles above the bottom, if for say. And man, when you have it fall at a certain rate and the weight hits the bottom and that bait just kind of hovers, that's when you get your bites, and that's something that fish don't see a lot. So I'm not telling you to go share the whole world. I'm sharing it with my YouTube viewers, but keep this under your hat and catch fish like I do, and it's something that you'll enjoy, I promise you. Lastly, well, not lastly, but next, I also caught some fish when the weather was right on just a good old Black Bass Tackle Industries 3/4 ounce double willow spinnerbait. Simple, basic. I didn't practice on the dam any, but it just, day one, the weather was right. We had clouds. I looked, I said, man, these fish are kind of scattered. They're everywhere. There's always fish on a dam. So went and ran the rocks and caught a bunch of fish on that spinnerbait slow roll, and also caught some around brush where I'd slow roll it. And then something you'll always see me have tied on when I'm around offshore fish or deep fish is that 3/4 ounce crawler jig from Black Bass Tackle Industries. That's perfect crawl, very basic, good natural color with some purple and green pumpkin. That elongated nose to it makes it come through wood better, so I can pull it through brush. That was a big player for catching those fish that were suspended up on isolated trees and brush piles, and being able to work it through the brush. And they see so many worms at Eufaula, so the ribbon tail worms. So that right there, as you saw Buddy Gross win the Elite Series last year, he put the hurting on him on the last day on a jig. A lot of people don't have the confidence to throw a jig in wood, because frankly, on especially a deep structure style jig where you've got a lighter wire hook, a little bit lighter weed guard, so you can set the hook and penetrate on those fish that are 25 foot deep on a long cast, people are scared to throw that in the wood. Well, that jig design right there will come through the wood much better than just your standard old football head jig, and that's just a fish catcher. So that's the breakdown for Eufaula. I was running brush that was on high spots out in the lake, bars, and offshore structure, and there's so many brush piles there that I was just trying to run the ones that either had 2 or 3 in a cluster, or the larger brush piles, and run as many of them as I could. With 2 days of practice, it's not like I had a milk run of 500 of them I could pick and choose from, but I just did the most graphing I could in practice, and every brush pile I'd see, I'd mark it, and I'd go and hit it during the event. And some of them, I'd maybe hit 10 before I'd get a bite, and then I'd maybe catch 1 or 2 out of one brush pile. But the main thing was the creek channel school that I had. I doubled when I found them in practice, and one of them came off. I doubled during the tournament, and the big one came off before I was able to swing them in the boat. But that was just an awesome school of fish. It was so fun to get them fired up, and I was really thankful for that, because the fishing was just downright awful for what we expected for Eufaula in May. And very thankful that led me to a 21st place finish, some great points. And then from there I packed up and headed to Chick, and you'll find the Chick video getting posted here soon, along with the breakdown on it. So thank y'all so much for watching. Leave a comment. Make sure you, if you haven't, please subscribe to the channel. And if you have any questions about my tackle and what I used and how I did it, then please reach out to me, and I'll make sure that we get you informed on the way that I made that approach at Eufaula. So thanks for watching.